On my birthday, my nephew threw my cake on the floor and said, "Eat it off the ground." I stayed silent. That night, Mom texted, "We're cutting you off forever." My brother liked it. Until I replied, "Removing my name from every loan tomorrow." By midnight, 53 missed calls. For years, I was the quiet one, the fixer, the family's personal ATM. But one Saturday, watching my 5-year-old nephew drop my birthday cake on the floor, encouraged by his father, something inside me snapped. And the fallout? It was an explosion no one saw coming. My name is Alex, and I'm 33. I'm a long-haul truck driver. You know, the kind who can tell you every decent diner off I-80 just by the smell of the fryer. I probably sleep more nights in my cab than in an actual bed. My essentials? A thermos of black coffee, an old-school paper atlas, and a little notebook where I track miles, fuel, and the occasional reminder, like call Tire Place in Omaha. In my family, I've always been the one with big shoulders, the mover, the fixer. Sounds great, right? Until you realize it actually means the mule. Mom always said I was born serious. Dad used to brag I could back a trailer into a space the size of a shoebox. My little brother, Ethan, though, he's my polar opposite. Flashy, loud, absolutely allergic to anything boring. He's the type to create a disaster, then turn it into an epic adventure story, and everyone just laughs. Mom calls him our golden boy. Me? I'm the background. If there's a heavy table, I carry it. If there's a bill that needs a name, it's usually mine. That was just our dynamic. This year, my birthday happened to fall on a Saturday, right between runs. I had a 34-hour reset, a precious window of actual rest, but Mom, of course, insisted. "You can rest here, honey." You know what that means, a forced drive to the suburbs instead of a peaceful nap in my sleeper. I didn't argue. I just bought a store-bought cake because money was tight, and Ethan, naturally, had forgotten his wallet. I also brought paper plates, because someone always has to remember the things everyone else forgets, and that someone is always me. Inside, the house smelled like lemon cleaner and roast chicken. A plastic tablecloth with balloons taped to the dining table. Just picture it. Ethan showed up late, wearing sunglasses indoors, carrying absolutely nothing, launching into some story about networking at a bar. His son, my nephew Max, who's 5, was running around in the dinosaur socks I'd bought him last Christmas. He loves those socks. We sang the song. I blew out the candles. I cut the slices. I handed out the plates. The very last piece, with my name in blue frosting, was meant for me. I held it out for Max. "Happy birthday, buddy," I said, offering him a piece of my cake. He looked at Ethan, waiting for a cue. And Ethan? He just smirked. That smirk. Max, bless his heart, took the plate in both hands, turned it over like a pancake, and dropped the cake. Splat. Frosting everywhere. On the tile, on my boot, even on the dog's ear. Max giggled. Ethan laughed harder, this deep, booming laugh that felt like a punch. "Eat it off the ground," Max declared, bright and proud, like he'd just nailed a joke. I didn't say a word. I just stared at the mess. Mom gasped, then did that tiny, nervous laugh she uses when she's desperate to avoid conflict. Dad grunted something meaningless. Ethan just shrugged. Relax. He's joking. But it wasn't about the cake, you guys. Not really. It was the permission. It was that look in Ethan's eyes, testing, daring me. The same look I'd seen 100 times when he'd ask for a tiny favor that inevitably snowballed into a monthly payment from my account. I walked over, grabbed a roll of paper towels, knelt down, and cleaned the floor. The dog, God bless him, tried to help. I wiped my boot. I stood up, rinsed my hands, and just said, "It's fine." "See," Ethan said to Max, practically beaming. "Uncle Alex doesn't mind." Everyone just moved on. Chicken, potatoes, bland conversation. But something in my head clicked. Like a ratchet tightening, one notch closer. Later, as I put on my jacket to leave, Max waved. "Bye, Uncle." His eyes were huge. "Sorry. Yeah, he's 5. He only repeats what he hears." "It's fine," I said again, and the word tasted like metal in my mouth. I drove back to the city with that sticky sugar drying on my boot, parked the rig at the yard, climbed into the cab, and sat on the edge of my bunk. I looked at my hands. They were steady. The cab was quiet, smelling of diesel, old coffee, and the pine air freshener I keep because it reminds me of the only place I ever truly rested as a kid. Dad's truck, engine ticking, windows cracked. That night, after a shower at the terminal and some microwave noodles, I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know Mom would text a sentence so formal it sounded like a letter from HR. I didn't know Ethan would tap a heart next to it, like some kind of twisted stamp of approval. And I sure as hell didn't know my reply would light up the family group chat like a blown transformer. All I knew was the floor was clean, and I was absolutely, irrevocably tired of being the mop. Look, people always want the big ending, the dramatic screenshot, the explosion. But it's never just one explosion, is it? It's years of tiny, insidious leaks. I started driving at 21, local runs first. By 25, I was doing long hauls. Just me and my sleeper cab, miles ticking by like a metronome. The money isn't Hollywood money, but it's steady. You learn to make the numbers line up. Fuel, per diem, motel, repairs, tires. All the grown-up stuff. The boring stuff. My favorite kind of stuff, honestly. Ethan, he hated boring. He'd bounce from one project to the next. A smoothie truck. A t-shirt brand. Some crypto scheme that eventually ate his rent. Mom would call them ventures. Dad, more realistically, called them rough patches. I just called them my problem. The moment anyone in the family mentioned, your credit is better, Alex. That's when it started. First, his car. No down payment, bad history. The dealer needed a cosigner. Mom called me at 6 a.m., outside a warehouse in Des Moines. Just sign, she pleaded. He'll pay. I was 26, half asleep, standing in a neon vest, clutching a styrofoam cup. I signed. Of course I did. Ethan missed the second payment. The bank called me. So I paid it. My credit score wasn't going to take a hit because of him. Then it was a business credit card, just for gas and supplies, he said. I'll manage it, he promised. He didn't. Late fees stacked up like forgotten pallets. I never even saw the statements until they were screaming red and loud. Mom cried, we'll make it right. But nothing ever got made right. I tried to get my name removed. Couldn't. It was a joint account. So I closed it to new charges and started paying it down myself, while he just kept talking about being between deposits. Then Dad's knee went bad. The hospital wanted a deposit, time sensitive. That one, I don't regret. Not one bit. I wired the cash. Dad cried, you saved me, son. But even years later, when I'd bring up any of Ethan's debt, someone would inevitably say, after everything we did for you. And I'd just want to scream. What was everything? Groceries and school, and yelling at me to mow the lawn? By the time I was 30, my name was welded to three things. Ethan's car loan, refinanced once to lower his payment, which I still ended up covering. A store card he opened right in front of me because they had a deal for a TV for Mom's living room, a house I don't even live in. And then, a line of credit for inventory when his t-shirt brand was about to pop. The shirts never popped. The line of credit did. Meanwhile, I was out there, driving through nights, storms, treacherous mountain grades. I learned to nap in parking lots. The blare of reefer alarms my lullaby. I knew which truck stops had decent showers and which ones smelled like wet socks. I skipped birthdays and holidays because freight doesn't care about holidays. But when I did show up, I'd bring good meat, a cake, fix Mom's squeaky door, change a bulb, and let Ethan talk over me. It was the same worn-out scene, replayed endlessly. I provide, he performs, Mom beams at his brightness. Every single request came wrapped in a pretty bow. It's just temporary. You're the only one we trust. You know we do it for you. That bow, though, it snapped right off the moment I tried to say no, which wasn't often. Every time I even thought about it, Mom would put a hand on her chest like I'd just broken her rib. Family helps family, she'd say. And that always meant me pushing that heavy cart uphill while Ethan skated along behind, clinging to the handle. The year before the cake incident, Ethan's smoothie truck 2.0 needed a permit. He forgot a fee, of course, so late penalties hit. He called me at 10:08 a.m. I was parked outside a warehouse in Bakersfield, the reefer purring, my hours of service clock ticking away. Bro, I need $1,200 by morning or they cancel the spot. I'll pay you Friday. I won't have service Friday, I told him. I'm in Wyoming. Just put it on the card, he insisted. I'll handle it. The card was joint. There was no I'll handle it. There was only me, hearing the future in his voice. I sent it. Friday came and went. The next Friday came and went. The penalty showed up anyway because he'd already been late before he even called me. Max was born during all that chaos. I held him in the hospital, a tiny, perfect bundle, while Ethan was busy making an Instagram video. Welcome to the world, little king. He panned the camera to me. And this is the guy who's going to teach you how to change a tire. I just smiled, kept it in. What I wanted to say was, this is the guy who pays for the tires you pop. As Max grew, so did Ethan's bills. He loved gear, a top-of-the-line stroller, then a gaming chair, then a business phone. He'd just slip and say, put it on our card, as if my name wasn't welded to every single one of his impulses. I'd protest. He'd sulk. Mom would call. Please, Alex. Your brother is trying. You know how he is. Oh, I knew exactly how he was. And you know what? He knew how he was too. He's a man who treats trying like currency and expects everyone else to make change. There were so many small humiliations, you guys. Ethan joking at dinner about Alex and his little spreadsheets. Mom giggling. He likes to keep lists. The time Ethan borrowed my GPS because phone signals are for peasants and returned it sticky with soda. The time he used my fuel card at a random gas station because he'd left his wallet, triggering a fraud alert during a run and having me on the phone with dispatch at 3 a.m., trying to explain why my fuel showed up in a town I wasn't even in. That's when I started writing down every single ask, with dates. April 4th, $250 for a permit late fee. May 19th, $480 inventory emergency. June 2nd, $90 for Max's meds, till Friday. I sent that one with no questions, no hesitation. June 30th, $310. I'll Venmo you tonight, he promised. He didn't. Numbers don't have feelings, but mine started carrying emotions like heavy bricks. On the road, you learn to pay attention to small signs. A vibration before a blowout. A smell before a belt snaps. Family has signs, too. Little things that tell you a breakdown is near. The cake wasn't the breakdown. It was a siren test. We all heard it. We all just kept eating chicken like nothing was burning. That night, parked at the yard, my phone buzzed. 9:47 p.m. A text from Mom. It landed like a formal memo from HR, cold and unfeeling. We've chosen to sever all contact. Stay away forever. No context. No preface. Just a brutal, absolute verdict. I could practically see Ethan's fingerprints all over it. He writes in drama. Mom just copies his voice. A second later, Ethan liked the message. A little red heart next to forever. Real cute. I typed a reply, then erased it. Typed another, erased that one too. I paced in the dim lounge, next to a perpetually broken popcorn machine. The words that finally settled in my mind weren't a threat. They were a plan. A plan I'd been quietly, fearfully, building for months. Removing my name from every loan tomorrow, I hit send. Then I set my phone face down. Made myself some instant coffee. I didn't turn the phone over when it started buzzing, vibrating relentlessly. I just watched the clock tick towards midnight, the screen lighting up the table like a desperate beacon I refused to see. At 12:54 a.m., curiosity finally got the better of me. I flipped it over. The group chat was on fire. 53 missed calls, the same numbers ringing over and over. Text from Mom. What does that mean? From Dad. Ethan, you can't. Then you won't. Then you better not. A voice memo too, which I didn't even bother to listen to. I just put the phone back down. The cab hummed around me. I pulled the curtain. And that night, for the first time in what felt like forever, I slept like someone had quietly lifted a heavy, suffocating pallet off my chest. Banks always smell the same, don't they? Like old paper and stale coffee. At 8:59 a.m., I walked in, my folder tucked under my arm. I'd built that folder over months, on 30-minute breaks at truck stops, compiling printouts, contract numbers, every policy I could find. While waiting, I asked for a specialist. A woman named Carla sat me down. How can I help? She asked. I need to start removing myself, I said, my voice steady. Wherever policy allows. Co-signer, guarantor, joint accounts. I know the rules. I'm here to follow them. She nodded, serious. We'll go one by one. First, the car loan. I could request removal, but Ethan would have to qualify for a new loan or find a substitute co-signer. The line of credit? I could revoke my guarantee with written notice, which would trigger a review and freeze increases. The joint store card? I could close it to new charges and set a payoff plan. I initialed. I signed. Carla stamped. Every single stamp sounded like a lock clicking shut on a door I was finally closing. My phone vibrated nonstop in my pocket, but I just let it. Carla slid me copies. You're doing the right thing, she said, her voice like an old bridge that had weathered countless floods. I left the bank and drove straight to my parents' house. I knew the show would be there. Parked on the street, Mom's car, Dad's truck, Ethan's hatchback with a parking ticket already stuck under the wiper. Mom opened the door before I even knocked, her face tight. Inside, the living room TV was off for once. Dad sat hunched, clenched. Ethan paced, his phone clutched in his hand like a weapon. Explain yourself, Mom demanded. I followed policy, I said calm. I'm removing myself from situations I never should have been in. Ethan let out a short, scoffing laugh. Over a cake? You're soft, Alex. This isn't about the cake, I told him, my voice firm. And I am not soft. I'm done. Dad tried to play reasonable. Son, be practical. If you step away, then my brother's credit is his. I cut in. Just like mine is mine. Mom's eyes sharpened. We raised you better than this. You raised me to work, I shot back. I do. You raised me to fix things. I did. You just turned that into my job title. Ethan pointed at me. You loved it. Being the hero. No, I said, shaking my head. I love quiet. Helping was the only way I could ever get some. He stepped closer. Undo it. No. He tried the old, familiar line that used to hook me every single time. Max will suffer. I looked him straight in the eye. Your son will learn from what you do, not from what I pay. Silence stretched, heavy and profound. You could hear the clock ticking, the hum of the refrigerator, a car passing outside. Then Mom went for the jugular. If you walk away, don't come back. I took a deep breath. My voice stayed flat, steady, just the way it gets when I'm backing a trailer in the pouring rain. You told me last night to stay away forever. That was emotion, she snapped. You knew what I meant. I know what you wrote. I replied, my gaze unblinking. And I believed you. Ethan held out his phone, almost like a mirror. You think anyone's going to clap for you? Wow, Alex said no for once. You'll come crawling back when you need us. I don't need your approval, I said, feeling the moment arrive like the road finally leveling out after a long, grueling climb. My hands were loose at my sides. My voice didn't rise. I need my name back. I looked at each of them. This isn't about revenge, I stated, clear and calm. This is about closure. Ethan blinked, confused. Mom frowned, deep lines etching her face. Dad's jaw moved, like he was chewing on a word he couldn't quite swallow. Closure, I continued, means no more co-signing. No more emergency transfers. No more joint anything. If you try to add me to something, I'll dispute it. If a company calls, I'll refer them to you. If you text me at 1 a.m. about a bill due at 8, I won't answer. That's the whole policy. You're heartless, Mom said, flat, like she was stamping a final judgment. I'm tired, I said. And I'm done. I turned to leave. If you walk out that door, she called after me, her voice trembling, don't expect to be welcome back. I paused, not for drama, just to pull on my boots. You told me to stay away forever, I said, calm as ice. I'm finally listening. The first week after was a blur of paperwork and an almost unsettling quiet. I changed every password, pulled my credit report, and, like a mechanic marking dents, circled every bruise Ethan had left on it. I made calls on my 30-minute breaks, faxed forms at the rare truck stops that still had fax machines, and learned which hold music was the absolute worst, the store card, by a mile. I kept driving. Freight, you know, doesn't pause for feelings. Mom's texts came in waves. Day 1, you're making a mistake. Day 2, we can fix this if you apologize. Day 3, Max cried for you. Day 4, a photo of Max, holding a crayon drawing, a truck. He drew a truck. He said, it's yours. Day 5, call me now. Day 6, your father isn't sleeping. Day 7, silence. Ethan's messages alternated between thinly veiled threats and twisted jokes. Bank says you can't, bro. Be real. Then, a sudden shift. Okay, serious. Call me. Then, Max asked why you hate him. You owe us. LOL. You'll fold. He even sent a voice memo at 2:11 a.m. I was on I-7, wipers slapping rain, but I didn't play it. I could already picture his tone. First smug, then wounded, then smug again. Dad called once, from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail while fueling at a Love's. His voice, when I finally listened, was rough. Alex, I don't know what to say. Your mother is well. I get it more than you think. Just don't let it go so far you can't come back. He hung up like the phone burned him. Work though? It felt different. My cab felt bigger, lighter. I cleaned the dash with a little pack of wipes. I made my bed in the sleeper, tight corners, for myself. I started eating better because that constant churn in my stomach finally stopped. Eggs and toast at sunrise. A salad in Nebraska that didn't taste like punishment. I slept more than 5 hours at a time. My logbook, for the first time in years, looked normal, not chaotic. On a reset in Cheyenne, I sat at a truck stop counter, eating a plate of meatloaf, with a waitress who called everyone honey. An old guy with a faded cap asked what I drove. We talked gear ratios, mountain passes. It felt human, in a way my family conversations hadn't felt in years. No angle, no ask, just genuine connection. Midweek, Carla from the bank called. Update, she said. Joint store account is closed to new charges. Here's your payoff plan. Line of credit guarantee revoked. There will be a review. Car loan. 30 days for the primary to qualify a loan or find a cosigner. Thank you, I said, and I really meant it. A real thanks, not the kind I give when someone hands me another problem. That night, Mom sent a long paragraph about wolves and packs. You don't leave family in the snow, she wrote. I typed, deleted, typed again. I landed on the plainest sentence I could live with. Love doesn't require debt. I won't carry yours. Send. After that, there was a new kind of silence. The kind where you can actually hear your own life. I started filling it with simple things. A call to my dispatcher to take one less weekend run. A trip to a hardware store for a decent lock for my apartment door, because I finally planned on actually being there. A cheap gym membership with showers I actually liked. Ethan showed up at my place once. He buzzed until some unsuspecting neighbor let him in. Then he started knocking on my door like the building owed him something. I opened the door, but left the chain on. Open up, he demanded. We can talk like this, I said. He smirked. You think a chain stops family? It stops you. He rolled his eyes. Car's up in 2 weeks. They'll repo it. You'll ruin me over pride. Get a cheaper car, I told him, completely flat. Take the bus. Work near home. I have a son, he said, like it was a trump card. So did Dad, I countered. He still worked. And he didn't add Grandpa to his credit cards. Ethan's face twitched. He tried pity. Just co-sign one last time. No. Say it nicer, he half laughed, half begged. I won't, I said. And I won't explain it again. He leaned in close to the chain, his eyes blazing. You'll regret this. I didn't flinch. Better than living as a wallet, I told him. He laughed, a humorless, ugly sound, called me something small, and left. His footsteps on the stairs sounded like a kid sneaking out. 2 days later, Dad texted, proud of you. Don't tell your mother I said that. I stared at it for a long, long time. I wrote, thanks. He replied with a thumbs up emoji. It was tiny, but it was something true, in a house where truth was usually edited for feelings. The notices started hitting Ethan. He'd forward screenshots to me with fix this. I didn't reply. He tried one more trick, a photo of Max holding a paper that said, I miss you. I stared at it until my eyes went hot. I put my phone down. I said out loud in the cab, I miss you too, buddy. Then I said the sentence that kept me steady. Your dad can fix this. Not me. On my next reset, I drove to a lake, just sat on a bench. No headphones, no alerts, just the ducks and the strange, blissful peace of a Saturday without urgent in it. I wrote a new list in my pocket notebook.